Hi everybody, this is Julie. I'm going to show you a video here with some ideas on how you can start to develop your Wikipedia paper. I've started to go through the discussion boards, and I've been leaving notes on your notes and outlines, and I've found that it seems like you're posting some really general notes or real general outlines, and I'd like for you to develop that a little bit further. We're going to be moving real quickly through this paper, and the more that I can see of your work, the better feedback and the quicker the feedback I can get to you. So I was thinking about what did I know about places in the area that you guys may be familiar with, and how can I show you an approach to making some changes to a Wikipedia entry. And the page that I came up with was Prince William Forest Park. So we know that it's academic in nature. This isn't really a sports figure, or musician, or celebrity. Now those, you can choose those topics within reason, and what I mean within reason is you can choose those topics if you find an academic avenue with which to make the changes. We obviously don't want to incorporate any bias, any personal information, or any information from a problematic source like TMZ, for example. So by using a page like Prince William Forest Park, you can say that it's academic in nature because we're talking about a nature resource that students, at least at Woodbridge, at Woodbridge campus, would be familiar with. What was interesting was a couple of years ago, I went to the Forest Park and I walked on some of the trails, and I went to the ranger station where you can get some information. And Prince William Forest Park has a lot of very intriguing history. And one of the bits of history that I find intriguing about Prince William Forest Park is that it was one of the places that during Jim Crow and during segregation, they would take kids from, they would take African-American children from Washington, D.C. and allow them to camp in the park to give them access to nature. But everything was kind of kept segregated. And so I thought about that a lot when I was thinking about local history. And I went to this page, and you can see the orientation of Prince William Forest Park's page. And so I know that as I look at this, there's a bit, the title, and then there's a general overview, and of course a table of contents. And so what you're seeing here are the general information that you're going to find on any Wikipedia page. And on the right-hand side, you've got some images and some sort of biographical data as well, and latitude, longitude, and all of that. The section here, the page is organized with recreational opportunities, cultural resources, known wildlife, history, and then it's got the Goodwill Historic District, the Mojave Historic District with different camps, and then it has access to information on Breckenridge Reservoir and other parks. You'll notice at the very end there's a short list of references, National Park Service statistics, and National Register of Historic Places listings, and then of course some external links. And so it's nicely organized, and there's some data here. Within the history, the information, they link to sub-pages, but I would like to make the argument that some of this information should be on the main page. So that's sort of where I think my rationale is going to begin, is that it's not developed enough on the main page. You've got some sub-pages, so if we click on some of these sub-pages, I'm going to open them in some new windows, and I can show you what they look like. So if you see the first one, the sub-pages are really short, that these camps are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. They're pretty small and shows a couple of images there. Here's another one, here's another one, and then there's the fourth one. They're extremely short and they're not developed, and it doesn't talk about how there's an intersection with this location and segregation. And I thought that not that I have to include bias, whether that is good or bad, but you can then just informationally, you can provide information to readers so they know a little bit more about the park. And if they're interested in local history and they're interested in early to mid 20th century history, people may not look at this page, Prince William Forest Park, and see that information. So we can say that there's an academic rationale to make the change. And we would probably make the change just in the history section. You don't have to make a change to the entire page, okay? So what I would do is I'm going to grab this text, okay, and I'm going to copy it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open one of the Wikipedia overviews. And now I have modified it slightly just to make sure that we're all on the same page by saying avoid focus on celebrity or sports figures. Okay. The part that I think is important for you guys as you're working on and as you're developing this from outline to working draft is this part that says part 1, part 2, part 3 in the outline. So what I'm going to do is we're going to delete everything else off of this handout. Like, you can save the handout onto your desktop. And then guess what? You have your working outline. So there's part 1, there's part 2, and there's part 3. Okay, so what I've cut from the Wikipedia page is part 2. It's to show your changes. And so, of course, I'm just going to paste, Control V. And then when we say part 2, I can delete the show credible sources, because you don't have to have that in your paper. But this is now going to become part of the paper. And I want you to bear in mind that as you're starting to make changes to just one section or 2 sections, post your 2 sections. You don't have to change the formatting of this section. You can leave it exactly with the blue highlights and all of that. That shows me it's specifically from the Wikipedia page. And if I do any plagiarism checking, I'm not going to check part 2. I may check part 1 and part 3, but I'm not going to check part 2. Okay? So now you can see that you've got something here. I can then show my changes by turning on what's called track changes. So if you go to review, track changes is right here. Turn it on. See what's happened there? Now my changes are going to be highlighted in the text. So anytime I'm working in part 2, turn your track changes on. Then when you go out of part 2, turn them off. Because then it's going to show what you're doing to the section that would be on the Wikipedia page. If you're then going to make changes on Wikipedia separately, officially you can do that. And I think I'm going to offer a little extra credit for that. But for this assignment, all you have to do is show me what you would change. And when you leave track changes on in Word, it makes it really easy. So now you can see, I can see what was originally in the text, and I can see what you have added. The default shows underline in red. That's fine. That really makes it distinct between what was there and what you would incorporate into the page. Now, as far as from your notes and what you're seeing in what I'm seeing on the discussion board for week 2, note that a lot of that's actually going to be part 1. Discuss what you found. And so if I were to write this up, I could say, I need to take it off of bold, right? So this needs to be just regular formatting. And then track changes is off because I'm in part 1. In choosing part page, I had to determine what was academic, about its content, to make sure I was following. Of course, I can't spell when I'm typing for you guys. Following the summit parameters. And then you can start describing, the qualities of the page. Then you can say the problems, new paragraph. And of course, now I'm just typing up notes showing you how you can develop this. Problems, however, with the page are that. And then, of course, you can have, the first problem in a paragraph, the second problem with a paragraph. This one would be about a page long. Okay, so I did say that this is about a page in the outline, and that's about right. You can say, first paragraph, introduce the page. This is what the page says, and this is what's there. Next paragraph, here are the problems with the page. Here's what I'm going to attempt to change. Okay, so maybe you have 3. Okay, I will address X, Y, and Z. So I'm showing you a real outline. I'm not showing you everything. I'm not showing my resources yet or my research, but I'm showing you what I plan to do. And then in part 2, you'll make your changes. And then in part 3 of this assignment, and of course I'll go over this in class on Monday, is the argument and in your justification of the way you folded in changes X, Y, and Z, how you made changes, what sources you used, how you credentialed those sources, how you enhanced the page, and your justification for maybe your justification part is to the editors of Wikipedia to keep your changes intact. Okay, we'll get there. We'll talk about that in class this coming week. But I wanted you to have this little video to show you an academic worthy website, Wikipedia page to choose, and how you can then use the Wikipedia outline and start to build on it to make your paper grow. If you have any questions on this whatsoever, please reach out and let me know. I'm going to be online today and tomorrow giving feedback to your week 2 discussion boards, and I'll be around to chat. Take care.